As handsome as ever.
Dude, we're live again.
Dude, here we are, back-to-back weeks, live.
When's
the last time we recorded within like a 5-day span? It's been 4 days.
It's like 2012.
Does the audience have the bandwidth to listen twice in a week?
Dude, let me start the podcast so we can do the proper intro because we haven't actually started reporting the podcast. All of this is extra.
This is bonus footage.
Bonus scenes.
Behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes. All right, here we go. You guys can't hear the intro. Sorry. Hey there, and welcome to the Dudes on Hockey podcast. I'm Mike. That's Doug.
Dude.
Dude, you know, a couple weeks ago, I texted you and I said, are you free on this specific day, June 25th? And you said, I am. And we had to schedule it a little later than we usually record. Do you know why I scheduled it on this day?
It's our anniversary.
It is our anniversary, dude. Today is our 10-year anniversary of the podcast.
That's amazing.
Our first podcast, for those of you who have been with us since the beginning, know very well, I'm sure it's marked on your calendar. June 25th, 2008 was DOH episode 1.
Wow. 10 years, dude.
We've come so far. Sort of.
Well, I'll say that we have, actually. I mean, do you remember, and we talked about this and we joke about it, that we used to record the episodes multiple times.
In the first,
multiple times. We would record
them
them and then we'd do it again. We'd listen to them and then we'd do it again.
Right. Well, those days are gone.
This is over. Yeah. Listen, we're live on the internet right now.
Now we are.
Whatever happens. We're going live.
We're
going live, dude.
We're like Bill O'Reilly.
And here we have our Dudes on Hockey t-shirts on, dude. Happy anniversary, dude.
Wait, show the live stream what the back looks like, dude.
Dude.
It says dude on the back.
Dude,
Cool.
10 years later, and I am not bored, and I look forward to doing this every week or whenever we get to it, dude. And it is an absolute pleasure to BS and talk hockey with my best friend, dude.
It's still fun. It still is fun. It's awesome.
Dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
Are you getting sappy on me now?
No.
Is this like a Barbara Walters interview all of a sudden?
Cut that part out.
I'm not cutting it.
I take it back.
It's live stream, dude.
I was getting emotional.
I don't mean to trivialize what we've done here, dude, because now podcasts are so big. There's companies making money, getting venture capital to make
We've been approached by some of these small internet ventures trying to get us to peddle our wares.
This is actually true.
It's true.
We have had people asking us to move our podcast to their website.
And we say, no, we prefer pure anonymity.
Pure anonymity, pure zero revenue.
Okay, well, before we get into some of the news, dude.
Yeah.
What's one of the highlights from the last 10 years?
Oh man, there's so many. Let's see.
It's easy. I mean, highlight of all highlights for me is easy.
EJ Radick.
Well, that's up there for sure. And I'd say that's top 3. EJ Radick we had on multiple times.
We had Randy Hahn on the show.
We met EJ Radick.
Yeah.
We've met him a couple of times. And he was awesome. I remember one time we had him on and he was definitely driving in the car. And he was nothing but awesome every single time.
It's true.
And I don't know, dude, we should try and have him back on. It's the anniversary.
Very generous. He was very generous with his time for 2 morons over here.
By far, the highlight was getting to meet our favorite player, Dan Boyle, because of the podcast.
That's true. That was
because of a friend of Dan Boyle's.
Yes.
The loyal listener, Matt.
Yes.
And to get the photo that we got from Dan Boyle wearing the Dudes on Hockey t-shirt.
Dude, go get it. Show it to the live stream. Yeah. Doug's going off camera to get the Dan Boyle picture. We're going to show it. You can't see it that well. I'm going to try and hold it up to the camera a little bit better. The glare. It's Dan Boyle wearing a Dudes on Hockey shirt. So awesome.
That's right. And then also the photo to the dudes. Thanks for the support. And a Post-it note from Dan Boyle saying that he was going to lift the cup in San Jose. And unfortunately that that never happened was surely wasn't because he didn't try.
That wasn't for lack of trying.
That was an awesome moment, dude. What's a standout bit for you?
Well, we had the exorcism.
We had the exorcism, which also involves Dan Boyle when he scored the own goal.
Yes.
In the Colorado series.
Although every time someone mentions that, I have to say it went off the Avalanche player's stick. He didn't shoot it directly into the goal. It was tipped. It was tipped, dude.
Yeah.
Look at the replay.
Okay. That was a highlight. I would say Marcel Gotch, techno music.
Yes, we did that.
Definitely a highlight. Do you remember when we used to
Jody Shelley?
Oh yeah.
The Jody Shelley song.
Jody Shelley musicals.
I love the Jody Shelley
song.
Dude,
when we used to write blog posts.
That was a long time ago.
We used to write blog posts, and then we made it to like the finals of Hockey Buzz. Remember Hockey Buzz? I don't even. That was like a thing for a couple of years.
Is that still a site?
I don't know, but it was probably almost like 8 or 9 years ago. We were in a tournament, like a March Madness tournament of hockey bloggers. And we wrote like a post that, I think we lost in the first round, but it was an honor to be there, dude. We have been emailed by Greg Wyshynski for content.
We did.
That was an amazing moment, actually, where he approached us to get our feedback on the Sharks on something, which was pretty cool. Playoffs last year.
And rather foolish of him, frankly.
Playoffs last year, getting a shout out by the Edmonton Oilers beat writer, actually getting quoted, remember?
That's right. I forgot about
his
that.
newspaper article. So there's been some really awesome memories, dude. Doing the radio show, which was not really our radio show. You were co-host on a radio show that occasionally I would come on and completely hijack.
That's right.
But we had Mark Smith on, former Sharks player, and we've had some other really great guests, dude. Craig Custance has been on the show.
Yep.
Randy Hahn, as you said, and others, dude. And it's been an awesome run, dude. Let's keep.
Was Cullen on the show?
Scott Cullen. We had Scott Cullen on the show as well, dude. We keep on trucking. Yeah. We've had Kevin Kurz.
Yeah, we've had Kevin Kurz.
I don't know if we had David Pollock.
I don't think we ever got him.
I don't think we did either.
I think we tried.
But remember, we were on the airplane with David Pollock.
That's right.
When we went to New York and we were flying back, and we saw him at the Devils game.
We stalked him a little bit.
Yeah, we should. We should go back to having guests.
We should. Who's gonna book them? You?
Sure.
Okay, you can book them.
Yeah, we had some good luck actually. Okay, how about this? Remember, we were really, really close to getting Jeremy Roenick. Remember how close we were?
We were really close.
It was very close. It didn't happen.
Right.
But we were corresponding.
I think he's a little bit bigger than us right now, especially.
But he was a current player at the time.
That's
remember?
Right.
I mean, in his we emailed back and forth with his wife several times. And there was a certain point where we thought it might happen. Listening while picking up my son from school in Australia. Oh, wow.
Wow.
G'day. Crazy trade. That's right. You can't forget hamburgers. Crazy trade. There's more and more great stuff.
Oh,
here.
I think I might still have the hamburger sound effect, which you won't hear on the live stream, but I do I have it?
Oh, man.
I got to look. It's been a while, man.
Hamburgers,
dude. Where is it?
You got to find it.
Got to be in here.
So many great.
I never would have deleted it.
What else do you have on the soundboard, dude?
I have the dudes.
Yes.
And then I have like the dun 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 dun.
But you don't have hamburgers? Do you have the Marcel Gotch techno music?
I do.
Yes.
That's right.
That's right.
I forgot about that. I can't believe I don't have hamburgers on here.
Well, you'll have to dig it up and find it. Hamburgers.
I have
Yeah.
That's a great Nicholas Wallin clip. And I do have Crazy Trade.
Yeah,
oh man,
dude, Crazy Trade. I mean, we so many great segments that we've had, dude. And 10 years later, we're still going.
We're still going.
We've got the seance was the best. What is your favorite memories from the podcast over the years? Yeah, thank you, Bob. You know, we definitely are
hopefully we'll have
going
many
down
more.
memory lane, dude.
Yeah,
huh?
it's hopefully we'll have some
well, I'll tell you what, dude. This week could produce the best memory in Sharks franchise history if they're able to pull off the Houdini trick of getting John Tavares to come to San Jose.
I'm glad I didn't actually put this on the live stream, because when we came up here and we were preparing for this, Doug played this video that was interminably long. It was preceded by 3 minutes of ads. And then it was a bunch of talking heads saying really basically nothing about John Tavares. And then finally at the end, someone's like, where do you think he's going to go? And some random guy's like, I think he's going to the Sharks. And then Doug's like, dude, he's going to
First of all, that's not a random guy. That's John Shannon, who's one of the most respected NHL analysts in Canada.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, I'm just saying, dude, I'm saying that they're in the room, and they're going to be in the room tomorrow. So Toronto presented today. The Islanders presented today, which must have been super awkward. Can you imagine? Dude, I'm going to go jump over and do another podcast. But before I do, I'll let you make a presentation to me to try and convince me not to.
Oh, man.
But let's see. Your presentation would include, I would say for 6 years in a row, I will pay for you and your wife to go to Vegas. Sold, I'll say.
Hey, dude, someone asked what's the current tally for the Vegas bets. Okay, are they just trying to rub it in? Do they know the answer? Is it 6-1?
I don't know if it's 6. I think it's 5-1. Dude.
I finally won this
year.
But
you're on a winning streak, dude. You're on a winning streak. And I do
I'm undefeated over the past year.
You are. And we are going to Vegas in actually a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
And you will be picking up the tab this time, and the next year I'll be picking it up.
Yeah.
Be my first time, dude. I've been saving my pennies.
Good. I hope so. Hopefully we can make some money betting.
And I'll tell you what, we had joked about having, an alternate way of doing the Vegas draft, but now that you've won, that's off the table, dude. I'm going to be more ready than ever.
Well,
to do the Vegas draft.
I know a friend of mine has proposed an additional bet.
Oh,
which we might have to talk about later, but it was sort of a complicated calculation in terms of like who picked the most playoff teams or something along those lines. I can't remember what it was, but I think that should be maybe entertained, but for a much lesser prize, because we want to keep our eyes on the cup.
Yeah.
As the
ultimate prize.
That's right.
The ultimate prize.
So dude, go back to Tavares.
Okay.
I know you found the one clip on the internet where a guy says
it's not the one clip
that's going to be the Sharks.
There's more than, well, I would say the majority of people believe he's not going anywhere.
Right. Yes.
Which, I guess you have to listen to the majority of people saying that they think he's not going anywhere. And this will be similar to the Stamkos situation, which by all accounts was that if he wasn't going to Tampa, he was coming to San Jose and we were the bridesmaid. And perhaps that will be what happens again.
Yes.
But, to Doug Wilson's full credit, he has set himself up to be, in the room and to make what I'm sure will be a compelling presentation to get him to come out here. The reasons why I think that there is a chance if he doesn't want to stay on Long Island are these, dude. I mean, Toronto can't offer him an 8-year, $88 million contract like the Sharks can. They can't.
No, the Sharks can't offer him either. Only other teams can offer him 7 years.
Okay. Well, maybe so 7 and 77.
7,
right?
7. Yeah. Or 7 even more. You can do more than that.
So let's say but Toronto can't do that. They can't even do that unless they start renouncing their own players.
They might be able to do it like for this year, but then they get into trouble.
What I've heard is they would have to do like a 1-year like max contract.
Right.
And then do a deal after that.
Right.
Which if you're Tavares, why would you do that?
Right.
Why would you risk that?
Yes.
Leaving $50-60 million on the table to just play for Toronto, who it's not like they're necessarily ready to win the cup next year. I mean, they're good.
Yeah.
And he would make them better. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, and other reports have said that he doesn't want, if he leaves the island, he wants to go as far away as possible.
And other reports have said, I've heard that says he does not want that kind of scrutiny that Toronto will bring.
Okay.
Even though it's his hometown, right? And I'm sure there's some competing forces at work there. But I think they said Tavares is not the kind of guy who wants to be the face on the news every day. And they used a PK Subban as sort of the counterpoint. They said PK Subban is happy to be the star.
Sure.
Wherever he is. And we saw some pretty good analysis and stuff from PK Subban here in the playoffs as an analyst, actually. I thought he was actually way better than average right out of the gate. A lot of times you get these players and they're just so dull, and Subban was not. And Tavares doesn't want that role. He doesn't want the my face on the billboard kind of guy. So the Sharks are, I mean, he can be the star player of the Sharks, the best free agent signing in Sharks history, and yet be able to walk down the street without having to talk hockey with every person that spots him.
Correct.
And that won't be the case in Toronto.
Correct. The other teams that are getting an audience with the great Tavares are Dallas, which I don't know why he'd pick them. Like, that makes no sense to me unless he's super tight with Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn, which is possible.
I guess.
I mean, and really, I mean, like, they could be the best line in hockey, right?
Oh, yeah.
They would instantly become that.
Of course.
If you're looking to make a super line, but they have nothing else. Like, they have nothing else. And that's a question mark. You look at how the Sharks are built back to front. They're better than Dallas. Dallas didn't even make the playoffs.
Right.
And, how much longer is Ken Hitchcock really going to be there?
Right.
I mean, that's not the model of stability, right?
No, I agree with you.
So I just don't think that they're a serious contender. Tampa's
a contender. Him and Stamkos apparently are tight, and they're good friends, and that would sort of be the, it's a hockey town in that people go to the games, but it's not nuts the way Toronto or Montreal would be.
So what? But they would have to basically.
I have no idea how they'd make the.
Well,
room.
they are gonna owe their other young star a big contract. I think it's in a year. So how do they do that? I mean, they would have to start trading away players.
Yeah.
So this is the part 2 to this dude. Which, well, I'll get to part 2 in a second. But those are the teams.
Yeah.
I mean, so we've named the teams that are getting to meet with him in person. Said no to Montreal, no to St. Louis. I guess apparently he said no to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that Nashville was involved, which scared me, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because David Poyle, I think, is the best GM in the league. But apparently they're not meeting with him in person, which I think is definitely a, negative. So when you lay all those out on the table, why not the Sharks?
Right.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not the Sharks out of all those situations?
We got a puncher's chance. That's how I would.
For sure.
We got a puncher's chance.
I think that they do. And, it's hard not to get a little giddy about it, dude. I'm a little giddy. I think that it is possible. It's possible.
It's possible. It's not likely, but it's possible.
I think it's possible.
Yeah, let's not go further than that. Dude, do we want to talk about the other free agent signing this week, or do we want to talk about the draft first? Or the bullet that we dodged? Should I say?
Bullet that we dodged?
Yeah, the free agent signing this week. The bullet that we dodged.
Oh, whoa, yes. Well, sure. I think that all ties into the draft, dude. And there's a lot of stuff to talk about at the draft. I mean, the Kovalchuk signing, which happened in LA, and the Max Pacioretty trade. No trade. All right.
Can you summarize the Pacioretty thing for me? Because I think I must have missed a couple of twists and turns.
Well, there were reports that San Jose and Montreal have been talking for weeks about something, and evidently Doug Wilson and Mark Bergevin were talking on the draft floor, and then somebody, I guess a reporter, I don't know who it was, tweeted out that Pacioretty trade was coming. And it sounded like Kevin Kurz even got in on it too, without saying specifically. And then someone even reported that Pacioretty was going to the Sharks. And then quickly everybody started backpedaling and saying, the teams are denying it, etc. So what really happened? I don't know, but I don't buy it because I just don't think that the Sharks are going to do anything until they get the answer on John Tavares.
Right.
Like,
you don't sign Max Pacioretty and then take yourself out of the Tavares
suite. I think that he is definitely part of plan B, possibly, depending on the price.
Yeah.
But I think he's signed for 1 more year, 2 more years. I mean, it's not a long-term fix.
Right.
And he didn't have a good year last year. So, it's classic Doug Wilson going after a player whose value is probably lower than it should be.
Yeah.
It's not surprising at all that he's maybe sniffing around it, but apparently they're all denying that even was the case. So that was the Pacioretty stuff, dude. But tell me why you're excited that Kovalchuk is not a Shark.
because I feel like we dodged that bullet. The last thing I think the Sharks need is an over 35 contract. And it sounds like from what I've read that the sticking point was that Kovalchuk wanted 3 years. And the Sharks basically said, we're not going to give you a deal that we did not offer Patrick Marleau. Right?
Right.
We're not going to give you a better deal than Patrick Marleau.
When it went to 3 years, I'm sure the Sharks were out.
They were out.
But
it does make me scared that they offered him 2 years, and I'm glad he's not here, because I think that's just a huge unknown. He's older. I mean, Kovalchuk at one point was the best player in the league, the most dynamic goal scorer in the NHL. But those days have passed, and he's not played in the NHL the last few years. And I just have no clue how well he's going to perform. I guess he really wanted to go to LA, and LA was happy to oblige him. Okay. I don't know how that's going to turn out. I think it's a big risk. Maybe that's one LA can take. As you said, if the Sharks are in on Tavares, I'm not sure that's a risk the Sharks want to take either. I mean, even if you could order it the way you wanted and you could make the play for Tavares, and if that didn't turn out, then you could go after Covey, I'm not sure that would make me any happier.
The Kings and Ducks both have gotten older and slower, and this doesn't help either of those things.
No.
And it wouldn't help the Sharks either. I didn't hate the idea of him coming on board in a 2-year scenario. And I thought maybe there was even an opportunity for him to be here with Tavares. But I can't imagine the Sharks were going to make a move now that would have, gotten them out of the Tavares business. Because I think that's what Doug Wilson's been looking towards for 2 years.
Yeah.
He's been waiting for this moment to try and get this franchise-altering player. Kovalchuk is not that player now, right?
I don't think so.
No, he's not that player. At this age, he's not that player. Might he be useful? I don't know. Could he be a total bust? Maybe.
I mean, the gap between him and Marian Gaborik could be smaller than one would like.
Well, since he's a King, let's hope that's the case. Dude.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Let's hope that's the case.
Dude, okay, so do we want to talk about the Colorado-Calgary trade, or do we want to talk about our first-round draft pick? Because, frankly, I'm not... Are there other draft picks the Sharks made that you're interested in talking about?
No, and I couldn't really even tell you that much about any of them, to be honest. Ryan Merkley, dude.
Ryan Merkley. The Sharks took him at what, 21?
21. And, by all accounts, this is a top 10 talent who slid to 21 because of some off-the-ice locker room issues. And we're not talking about, selling drugs on the street corner.
Right.
We're talking about immature behavior and taking some bad penalties on the ice, acting out when things aren't going his way.
Mm-hmm.
So given the information that you have, knowing that the Sharks drafted a young man who's a top 10 talent at 21, but he has some off the ice challenges, what's your thought on that?
Well, he's not 21, is he?
No. He drafted him at 21.
20. Yeah. At number 21.
So they're getting basically a guy who has the talent to be maybe pick number 8.
Right.
But they got him all the way at 21.
Some said he was the second best defenseman skill-wise in the draft.
Sure. So
past the guy who was drafted number 1.
So he's a Shark now.
Right.
And do you think that's worth the risk at 21?
Well, I hope it turns out. I think the Sharks have made, as we talked about last time, the Sharks have kind of not done so well in the first couple rounds of the draft here. And in terms of a risky pick, this falls into the high risk category. I mean, this could easily turn into another first round bust, right? This could also be a huge reward. And we got ourselves a great top 4 defenseman late in the first round that everybody else picked. He could be a even more garish Sean Couturier. I remember when Sean Couturier was the number 1 overall pick, and then he fell to number 8 for reasons that I still don't quite understand. And he's matured into an amazing player. It could be this guy. I don't know. It makes me a little nervous because of that. The Sharks said that, we talked to this guy. He understands that he needs to improve that part of his life and that part of the game, because it is part of the game, in order to take it to the next level. I hope he understands that. I hope he was sincere when he said those things. I'm glad he did. And if the Sharks want to vouch for him, great. I'm not I'm not categorically against taking these kinds of risks late in the first round, because when you get to late in the first round, you're sort of past the point where you have a slam dunk NHL player that's going to play 300 to 500 games or more for you. You're into the place where, man, I hope this guy turns out. This guy's got a lot of tools. This guy's got a lot of skills. Let's hope he make this team. And, this guy's clearly good in the skill department. The question is, does he have $5 skills and a 50-cent head? That's the problem.
Right. At the draft slot, I like it. I think you've got to draft for talent. He's a young kid. I mean, like, I think that people do dumb stuff, dude. When they're young, and
they can't all be Jonathan Taves that just like goes home and like eats a bowl of cereal,
right,
watches SpongeBob and goes to bed.
And they're, for some of the stories of what this kid has done, it's childish behavior. It's not, he hasn't been arrested.
Right.
I mean, he's not,
he's not getting in bar fights.
Right. I mean, he's been, healthy scratched for doing dumb things on the ice and not being particularly coachable at times. But I think the Sharks are willing to take the risk. And if we can get a top talent, which, frankly, the Sharks are lacking, other than, Jeremy Roy, I think people were looking forward to seeing what this kid might have to offer. And maybe the Sharks believe that he's closer to being a contributor based on them non-tendering Dylan DeMello today, which we can talk about in a moment.
Whoa.
Did you not hear that?
I did not.
Hello. Happy anniversary. No Dylan DeMello.
Wow.
Yeah. So Dylan DeMello non-tendered today. So they have no, I think that's purely a cap move. So they're not on the hook for any sort of cap hold with him going into this situation. Like, they have the ability to maneuver their offer, because the priority is getting John Tavares, not keeping Dylan DeMello. I think he is definitely a replaceable piece, right?
Yeah.
And maybe they think that it could be Jeremy Roy that could be that person. I mean, I really think the Sharks need, and that's why I like the idea of Tim Heed. I think Pete DeBoer does not.
Right.
But that second puck moving guy, which, apparently Jeremy Roy could be. But I think it's worth the risk, dude. I don't mind it. I think, if you're going to draft a guy at that spot who could maybe be an all-star, you take the risk.
Yeah.
I think you take the risk.
I get it. It's just, I'm concerned about another first-round bust. But
sure.
I guess if you're at 21, I mean, you don't make that pick at 12, but at 21.
Right.
Okay.
And, I mean, I think there's a lot of pressure on Tim Burke, which we talked about.
Yeah.
And if they swing and miss, and this kid has a horrible year at junior and is being a total ninny. If I say ninny.
What is this, 1940?
He's being a nincompoop. They have to wash his mouth out with soap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then, maybe that's Tim Burke's job and he's gone. Right. For wasting that pick, but I think it's a good calculator.
I don't know. I mean, on the plus side, he said he hired a psychologist and stuff. He wants to work on these. I mean,
yeah,
those are good signs, right?
And the other thing that they said during the draft coverage is that the Sharks, as an organization, have brought in some personalities and allowed them to be themselves. Right. Joe Thornton really developed a personality here in San Jose. So did Brent Burns. They're not trying to control Brent Burns's weird animal thing with his beard, and
you need to wear more
letting these guys
suits.
be who they are.
Yeah.
They weren't afraid to take a risk on Evander Kane, to see how he would fit in. Well, a lot of other people were afraid to take that risk. And in some ways I applaud them for taking the risk. Let's try and get a high talent player in here instead of just getting a guy who might be a third line player or a very safe pick at that point.
This is a sort of a digression, dude, but this is the time of year to do it. Does this mean, and I can't believe I'm bringing up the NBA twice in 2 podcasts, but does this mean the NHL is becoming more like the NBA, where the NBA seems to be sort of dominated more by personalities, and a lot of it seems like what coaches and management do in the NBA is to manage. You can't control these guys. Like, you can't go and tell LeBron, hey, you need to dress more conservatively or you need to act a certain way. It's LeBron. He has a lot of power, right? In the relationship. And do some of these higher talent guys, Evander Kane maybe being one of them, Joe Thorne another one. I mean, is the NHL sort of turning into that? I don't know if it's better or worse.
I don't think every team is. I think Montreal's a perfect example of not allowing that to happen, and they're going to suffer for it.
Right.
It's probably why they didn't even get a meeting with Tavares.
Maybe.
But the Sharks have cultivated that sort of culture in their dressing room where I think they believe it's strong enough to bring in, a Scott Parker,
right?
Who, can be a little bit off and climb
little bit
and do his thing and not ruin what they have, because they've just down the spine. They've got such a good, dressing room and atmosphere. Right. And that's why I think it's okay for a team like the Sharks to take a risk on this. And it's a talent thing. If you can get a talent like that at that level, he's got a long way to go.
Right.
I mean, let's see if they can just hit a home run. Right. I mean, he's not going to be in the NHL for at least 2-3 more years.
That's right. He's not even allowed to play in the AHL next year. I think I read he's too young to even play in the AHL. So I guess
he's like a 50-60 point defenseman.
He's like almost a point per game as a defenseman in the OHL. Not
you got to go for
shabby.
it. You got to go for it. And I know there's some questions about his defensive game, but you got to go for it and see what happens. And I like the move. I think it's worth it at 21.
Dude, is there anything else on draft day that we should be talking about?
Well, I mean, not related to the Sharks, but there was another big trade. Actually, there are two trades. Colorado acquired Philip Grubauer.
That's right.
And Brooks Orpik for a second round pick. Essentially Washington, trading, Orpik to clear the cap space to re-sign John Carlson, which happened today.
Okay.
I think he got 8 and 64, John Carlson.
Wow, he got Brent Burns money.
Yeah. So he didn't even go to market. And the Capitals were able to do that by getting rid of Brooks Orpik, who was put on buyout waivers and will be available, which is an interesting name as we talk about Dylan DeMello replacements. I think for the Sharks, if you can get John Tavares, you could do maybe what the Golden State Warriors have done, which is bring in some very useful veteran players for nothing because they want to win.
Right.
And if you're Brooks Orpik, you've made your money. Do you want to win another cup? Will you play for the veteran minimum? Great. We don't need you to do anything remarkable. Just 14 minutes, some veteran leadership. We don't see a lot of that in the NHL.
I think it just seems like it's so much less. I responded to a comment that someone made on a podcast a few weeks back, I think, and they said, why wouldn't Tavares go and take a 1-year deal with Nashville and win the cup?
Sorry, laughing. That one of the listeners says they should have Merkley mentored by Evander Kane.
Maybe they're not.
I think their lockers will probably not be together.
I sense sarcasm.
Yes, there was sarcasm.
But what was I saying? Am I off the track? Oh, a commenter said that maybe that Tavares would take a 1-year deal with Nashville and win the cup with Nashville. And my response to that is, I don't think the NHL is like the NBA in that adding a piece like that, like adding a LeBron or adding a Steph Curry or adding a Chris Paul or something, will suddenly mean that you're the big favorite now. Of course, it'll affect you. If he went to Nashville, Nashville will become the odds-on favorite.
But there's certainly less parity, but in the NBA.
No one would be surprised if Nashville didn't win the cup, because crazy things happen. The Golden Knights make it to the cup finals.
Right.
Just breaks can, and one player I think has a much smaller impact on a team.
But you're right. You're absolutely right. It's just different. I mean, you're playing with a larger roster, and there's certainly a lot more variance in the NHL, and the teams are a lot closer together than I think in the NBA, where there's just clearly, 2 or 3 good teams, and the rest are, wishing they were in the conversation. That's why we've had the same teams in the NBA finals for 4 years in a row. That doesn't happen in the AHL or any other sport for that matter. But could some of these players should some of these players who've already made their big money consider a move like that? Consider
remember Korea and Solani? They took $1 million to go to the Avalanche.
Right. Didn't work out.
Didn't work out, I don't think.
Did it?
So
no.
It was close. They were a good team that year, but it didn't work out.
But that is, the question.
That's the question.
Could the Sharks add a player like that? Not necessarily him, but someone like that who might want to have a shot, and that's freeing up that roster spot. Dude, the other trade that goes down is Dougie Hamilton.
Yeah.
And college player Fox and another forward from Calgary I wasn't familiar with,
right?
Who actually had a pretty decent year this year. I think had scored in the teens. Sent to Carolina for Noah Hannafin,
right,
and Lindholm forward.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
That's a big trade for Carolina. I mean, they're really sort of giving up on these young guys, and apparently, who's the other guy? Schultz? No, not Schultz. Who's their other defenseman? Is also still available.
Well, Falk,
thank you. Not Schultz. Just Falk's available, and Skinner's still available, apparently. So, I mean, they're really trying to clean house in Carolina. They're trying to ditch all their good players. Sounds like.
Yeah, I know that they have a new owner who is trying to, I think,
put his mark on the team.
instill his will.
Yeah.
Sounds like kind of a different guy, maybe kind of the Mark Cuban of the NHL.
Okay.
I don't know that much about it. I've just heard some brief discussion about the topic, but I mean, Carolina is, where are they? I mean, with that group of players, like
I don't know
what. I mean,
Dougie, it's weird that they wanted to ditch Dougie Hamilton. So,
well, I mean, we've heard this about Dougie Hamilton now twice, right?
Yeah.
That the statement from Calgary was basically, it was like a carbon copy of the Ottawa statement. We wanted to prioritize the dressing room, okay. Like, so Dougie Hamilton is a jerk again. Like, that's what we're hearing one more time.
Yeah.
He's a talented jerk, but apparently a jerk. So
yeah.
That's not fair to him. Maybe we don't have his side of the story. Maybe he should be a guest on the podcast.
I'm sure he'd come on.
I think it's an interesting deal for both teams. I think Calgary was not perfect either.
No.
And certainly, added some talent. Hannafin's a bit of a question. I mean, he was a top 10 pick, I think, and hasn't quite panned out. But
I know Sharks fans were hoping he would fall to 9 so the Sharks could get him instead of Timo Meier.
Right. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But I like trades like that, dude. Hockey trades.
That's a hockey trade.
Hockey trades.
Yeah.
Whereas the Colorado Washington trade, that was not a hockey trade. That was a dump. I mean,
yeah.
But and you got, Colorado now in a very interesting spot.
Yeah.
Because they've got Varlamov as like a lame duck. Like, is he really going to be the number one guy?
It's a good question. I think a lot of people after reading the excerpts after that trade, it seems like a lot of people are pretty high on Grubauer. So,
I mean, you've committed 3 years to Grubauer. Varlamov's in the last year of his deal. I mean, are you really going to play Varlamov over Grubauer?
Maybe they'll find out what happens.
It'd be weird, I guess. I mean, and Bernier, who had a pretty good year for them, is cast off. So,
yeah.
Oops. Okay, Joe Sakic knows what he's doing. Not really. Sort of.
Dude, what are they commenting on now, dude? On the what?
That's right. Oh, yeah. Very good point here by one of the listeners. The former coach of Carolina, Peters, is the new Calgary coach.
I forgot about that.
I would imagine
spoken highly of those guys.
I would imagine he did. Or he might have came in and been like, Dougie Hamilton. Yeah, Bill Peters.
I'll be your coach on one condition.
Right. Get rid of both Hamiltons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Freddie Hamilton, former Shark.
I even hate the musical.
Dougie Hamilton's not going to block that shot.
Oh, man. Oh, wow.
Dude, we got to get back to doing song parodies.
Yeah.
We need to get back and
do Dougie Hamilton instead of Alexander Hamilton.
How have we not done that already?
We should have done that. We got to do that. All right.
I'm Dougie Hamilton. My name is Dougie Hamilton. There's a million things I should have done.
We're going to do the improv the whole show right now.
But just Doug Wait. Just Doug Wait. Thank you. Anyone who knows that song thinks that's funny.
3, 2, 1, 0. Go to the live stream.
Totally tuned out. All
right.
Yeah, dear dear Jose Theodore. That's funny.
Those are our live listeners.
Yeah, all right. Nice. A nice Hamilton reference in there. I like it.
That was really good. Dude, I think we've covered pretty much what's happened in the last week. Happy anniversary again, dude.
Happy anniversary to you, dude.
Dude, and we will be back.
All right, let's talk about Dylan DeMello just really quick.
Okay, yeah.
So I know I kind of sprung that on you. You've been living in a work cave.
Yeah.
You look surprised.
I am surprised.
Dylan DeMello. He played 60 games for the Sharks this year.
Yeah, who's gonna be the guy in that spot?
Not super clear, I'd say. Right. I don't think.
I mean, he's not. What was the thinking on how much Dylan DeMello would have fetched if he stayed?
Well, I guess, they were concerned about going to arbitration with him and maybe being more on the hook for price tag they weren't interested in.
Yeah.
With Dylan DeMello, who I think has I think we've seen what his ceiling is.
Yeah.
He's a third pairing D-man.
Right.
So in this type of situation, the Sharks want to pay a guy like that $1.5 million, $2 million. It appears no, when maybe they have some players at the AHL level, which I'm not sure who that is.
Yeah.
They brought over a guy from, I can't remember from where, the Czech Republic last year, who played the whole year in Simic.
Mm-hmm.
Simic.
Yeah.
He played the whole year in the AHL, didn't play for the Sharks, but we kind of heard his name around as maybe a contender. And then there's Jeremy Roy. And then, of course, there's Tim Heed, who, I think Tim Heed is capable of being that player. Maybe the Sharks are starting to believe it. Certainly cements roster spot for Joakim Ryan, which I think has never been a question. So, that 6th defensive spot, it could be something to monitor. We've seen, certainly in the last 2 years, that a lot of NHL veterans have been homeless, around training camp starting, and maybe the Sharks can capitalize on that.
We didn't talk about Paul Martin.
Oh, Paul Martin's been bought out. Dude. End of story.
Yeah. Thank you.
Not surprising. So the Sharks continue to make these moves, trading Bodker for picks, buying out Paul Martin, and non-tendering Dylan DeMello to set themselves up for the big strike.
Yeah.
Dude, I hope when we're sitting at this table again, that we're talking about John Tavares and Teal. And
it could be.
My head tells me that the Sharks, because they've never
done this.
Yeah. And have always sort of been second place in these sort of talks with, remember, they were involved in Zdeno Chara 7 years ago.
Right.
That they were involved in the Chris Pronger stuff. Remember, Niedermeyer, they're involved in Niedermeyer.
Yeah. And not Rob.
And Doug Wilson has found his way into these conversations, but I don't know. This time I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like it's just a little bit different. I think that the thing that I like is that if they don't get him, I think that they're still going to be very aggressive to improve this team.
Yeah.
And that they're not just going to say, meh.
Oh, well, yeah.
Because let's say he does go to Tampa. I think that Doug Wilson will be on the phone immediately to try and find out how he can get some of those players,
right,
like Tyler Johnson or someone else, Kucherov, right?
Yeah, please.
Well, but the thing is how do you keep them all?
You can't.
But
they're going to keep Kucherov.
Well, but how can you do that? I don't know. That's the question.
Yeah.
And I think he'll make the call. So, what's the plan here?
Yeah. So, what?
And how can I get?
And how can I help you?
How can I get a blue light special here?
Yeah.
Right. But he might be able to find a way to get some of those players off their hands, or be back on the phone or not on the phone or on the phone or not on the phone with Montreal.
Dude, there's an extremely outside chance that he signs with San Jose, and even more of an outside chance that he signs with San Jose while we're in Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think the
greatest
timeline on this is? Do you think this is going to go that long? I really hope not. Can't he sign?
He'll sign on the 1st or the 2nd.
I think we'll know. I mean, this isn't going to be dragged on forever, right?
No, I mean
Brad Richards style.
No, I don't think so.
Like that would be very unfair to all the other players that are just going to be sitting and waiting for this decision, because I think the JVRs, the James Neals of the world, are waiting to see what's going to happen here, because they know that they're second choice.
Yeah, of course.
Right? To the teams that are making this chase. Now, maybe, at least if the Sharks aren't really in it, I hope that they get a feeling for that tomorrow or this week, and they're able to move on. But their actions so far, the cap clearing, the withdrawing from the Kovalchuk, negotiation, they're not acting like a desperate team. They're acting like a team that has a plan.
Right.
And, I think that the tweet that came out from David Pagnotta, dude,
Yeah.
He said, on San Jose, even with them set to talk to Tavares, plan is in place to also lock up Thornton to a 1-year deal and Couture and Pavelski to extensions. Sharks are all in. Even if they can't sign Tavares, they'll pursue another forward to fit into the top 6. So that I find exciting.
Yes.
And if it's Tavares, awesome. Please let it be. Because if that happens, dude, our hockey lives will change overnight.
Yeah.
The Sharks right now are 25-1 or 20-1 to win the Stanley Cup in Vegas. If they sign Tavares, the Lightning are the odds-on favorites right now at 9-1. So what do the Sharks become if they get Tavares? 10-1?
12-1, something like that.
They become the Western Conference favorite.
Yes, I think that's very likely. Very likely.
Vegas.
Dude, Tavares, Vegas. Hopefully the next time we record, we're going to know the answer. We'll be back.
Dude, let's get him back in the live stream one last time, dude. Dan Boyle.
There he is.
Dan Boyle.
I got to go put him back on my nightstand.
TB22, we miss you. We love you.
Goes back on my nightstand.
Let's have Dan Boyle bring a little good karma. Oh, please. Danny boy. The Tavares are calling. Danny, from the woods you come to bless the Sharks.
He's not even Irish.
I don't think this accent is either. Danny, please bring us your pot of gold all the way from Los Angeles and have it be JT on the pot. Amen.
Oh my God. What's up here? Yeah, it was on top. Yeah, wherever. It was on that flat. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Wait, what? Get him some Del Taco. Was that
it's Ward.
Okay, it's
Ward. Some Del Taco.